All right, good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So today, we are recording a spontaneous podcast. There's been a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. As you guys start following more and more about Live the Fuel and what's going on right here, right now as we're recording this, there's been a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes regarding some new documentary movies, one of which we actually are bringing on today. Director, producer, I don't know, he's just a movie guru because he got to create the Netflix movie of Now More Than Ever, the history of Chicago. So if anybody's ever heard of the band, and very, very famous band, Chicago, this gentleman got to create that. But more importantly, we connected because of our fellow passions in a healthy lifestyle space, which we talk a lot about on this show. And we're fellow followers of the NSNG trademarked lifestyle, no sugar, no grains, created by a fellow friend of ours, Vinny Tortorich. So without further ado, because we're going to dig more into why I just brought that guy's name up, welcome to the show, sir, Peter Pardini.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
How about spontaneity, bro? Like, I think half an hour ago, we're like, oh, we should do a podcast. And then it's like, yeah, why don't we just hit record now?
Let's do it. The internet.
I love it. So anyway, I was just in your intro. I can do some screen sharing for our video feed because Netflix is big right now. All right. And there it is. Now more than ever, the history of Chicago. You got to create this.
Yeah, it was, I started on this about 5 years ago now, which is crazy to think about. It's actually coming up on the 5-year anniversary of actually starting to film it.
Wow.
And it took about 3 years to over 3 years to come out because of everything from shooting it to getting new interviews to licensing to getting distribution. And I worked with the band for a long time, and it's like, it's good that it's out there now. It's done. All the hard work's over.
It's out there. People can watch it. And admittedly, like I don't have, this is interesting. So I was just telling you earlier, I just this week was down in Philadelphia for a big Tony Robbins event. I'm big into personal and professional development. Our mindset is everything, what we surround ourselves with. And one of the speakers brought up about how, so many people watch the negative news networks or they have cable. And I haven't had cable in years. I don't watch it. I don't want it. It's just, first of all, the shows are awful, but we do have internet, so we do have an Apple TV, and we just bought one of those new smart TVs. So that's fun too. But it's either Hulu or Netflix. I mean, it's pretty much it. That's all we got. Because most of the time I'm out and about, I'm too active. But every once in a while, we do. My fiance and I, we sit down, we decompress, and we throw on a Netflix. Like we just got done watching. Vinny was talking about this recently too. Our fellow buddy here, Vinny Tortorich of Fitness Confidential. But we were talking about these new Netflix things. There was one about the, I don't know if you saw that. There was one about it was like a whole documentary on fat. And,
Magic Pill?
Oh, there was the Magic Pill one. I didn't get to see that one yet. That's about like kids and the influence of pharmaceuticals and depression and ADHD and all that stuff. We got to watch that one yet. But there was the other one where it was an autopsy. It was it was really good. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
But they literally, a woman's body, obese, a deceased woman, donated her body to science.
I remember Vinny talking about it.
And they did a whole documentary on that. So, and I'm trying to tie that together for people listening because, like, you're not just a documentary guy for Chicago. You literally went on to Vinny Tortorich's podcast talking about your own healthy lifestyle goals. And now there's a new project in the works that I accidentally kind of fell into because I'm passionate about it. And now I'm working with you guys on this. But real quick, before we get into the teaser, obviously, and we're going to talk about Vinny and this documentary project we're discussing, but what's the deal with NSNG and you, man? Like why do I keep using NSNG? Why do you keep using NSNG?
Well, I've been up and down in weight my whole life, and it was a thing where I could lose weight before, and then I could gain it back. And the thing was that I learned is that I never really knew why I was losing it because the doctors would just tell me what to do, and then I'd go do it, and it would work. But I was young. I was 16 the first time I lost weight. And they took me to Atkins. And so I just did Atkins. And the crazy thing now is that with learning about NSNG, when I had recently gained weight again, I was seeing a lot of the stuff that Vinny was saying was what by happenstance I was sort of doing already, but a way more like specific and simple version of it. No sugar, no grains. It's like, I like to say it's it's simple, but it's not easy, because you still have to put in the work and you still have to do it. But at a certain point, about 2-3 weeks in, you lose all of your cravings for the other stuff, like the sugar and the carbs and everything that you were having before. And I've found it the best diet that I've ever done, because it's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. And
Right.
it's all the stuff I like to eat. The funny thing I learned is I love Mexican food, but I can cut the tortilla out and just have the cheese and the meat, and it's basically the same thing. So I learned more. I more so like the meat and the cheese than the bread.
Well, the best part of that type of discussion is literally I was out at dinner last night with friends and my fiance, and everybody. It's Cinco de Mayo weekend as we're recording this, ladies and gentlemen. And obviously, it's a big everybody's up at the tacos, and there's like tacos on special. And this is a really we have a big popular grocery store chain here called Wegmans. They're founded in Rochester, New York, but they actually have better quality food product sourcing. They do a good job as a company. And they opened up these restaurants now in all their grocery stores. And unfortunately, this place, like you go into their food court area, it's kind of like a Whole Foods where you have all this fresh food stuff. But that you can keep. They're changing the menu every single day. Here, the restaurant never changes. It's weird. I'm like,
Yeah.
Who's your head chef? Like I can go out there and get whatever I want. Here, your menu never changes. It's really annoying. But the point of the conversation here is that everybody's like, oh, you can order the tacos are full. Like you can get 3 different meats. I can get chicken and pulled pork and beef. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll just take the meat. And oh, that's right. Scott can't have a taco. And I'm like, dude, I can have a taco. I just don't want to. And it's a choice when I know at the biological level what grains and sugars are doing to me from an inflammatory response. Because I've been living that way for a long time. Before I even heard of NSNG and before I learned about Vinny, I was already cutting the bread out a while ago because I was like, for some reason, everybody says you got to stick all the good stuff between some bad stuff. You ever think about it that way?
I mean, it is interesting how everybody has it sort of backwards, though, when it comes to, I was just talking to a friend the other day about, because he works out a lot and I don't. I need to start working out more. But my friend works out a lot, and he's like, well, where do you get your energy from? And I said, I have no problems with being tired at all. And I said, there are days I don't even have vegetables. I'll just have meat if that's all I'm hungry for. I'll just have a steak for dinner, salami during the day, and I'm not hungry at all.
Well, because you're eating nutrient-dense sources, right? There's a lot of nutrient density in meat that people don't really understand. So I mean, if any of our listeners are vegan or vegetarian, I'm not here to offend you. I respect your lifestyle choices. It's just there's no way in hell I'll ever live that way because we are there's a very, very best-selling book, Omnivore's Dilemma. We at the genetic level are omnivores, okay? We consume meats and vegetables. And but not to get off on that tangent, but the point here is that when you do start cleaning up your life, you could speak to this. What happens to your energy? What happens to your body? What happens to your sleep cycles, right? Like you just gave a little hint. Oh, I need to start exercising more. Vinny himself says, hey, exercise is a poor way to lose weight, right? Because if you don't have good sleep cycles and you don't have good nutrition, what the hell are you bothering paying for a gym membership? Yeah. You're basically a hamster on a wheel, except you're on a treadmill.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm talking about walking an hour a day is a good start for me just to get going. But I've never been able to work out before and lose weight on its own.
Why do you think that is? Why do you now think that is?
Well, it's just because what you're eating is most of you can't outrun a bad diet. Mm-hmm. So it's like you can burn calories or whatever, but that's not calorie in and calorie out is not all there is to it. I mean, it does help. It's a good barometer if you're stalling on keto or stalling on no sugar, no grain. If you're not doing keto, it's a good barometer to see, okay, maybe I cut a little bit out, cut a little bit of the fat out, cut a little bit of the protein out or whatever I'm eating just to get the calories down a little bit. But I said earlier, like I have not ever gained weight on this diet, on this lifestyle.
The beauty of it's hilarious. So I'm also anti-calorie counting. I've never counted a calorie in my life. No fucking clue. I have no fucking clue how to count a damn calorie.
So what's a day for you? What's an average day? eating wise?
Let's see. This morning I woke up, I did a shot of olive oil, I made my coffee, and then I went to the CrossFit gym. We did an hour-long partners workout. So it was 37 reps of multiple movements. Each movement was 37 reps, 3 rounds. So it took an hour to do all this, right? So I'm a huge CrossFit guy. I'm a CFL 1 coach. And it was to honor the owner's birthday. Shout out to SYR CrossFit. And I got done. And everybody's like, it was the guy's birthday. So everybody carries in a birthday cake. You and I were joking around this earlier. And everybody's like, oh, Scott, you had a piece? I'm like, no. Like, I'm a fit 40 for a reason. Like, I'm not putting that shit. That's not going to help me with my body's recovery. I just got my ass kicked. FYI, I was sore as hell because literally last weekend, I did a 2-day competition in Philadelphia. So I was just there, I told you the other day, for the Tony Robbins thing on Thursday. Mm-hmm. I was in the same convention center last weekend, only 1 week ago, competing for 2 days. 4 workouts per day on 6-person teams over 2 days. I've never done a 2-day competition. Like, my hand is still all tore up from all the pull-ups. Like, I'm sore. But that's just physical sore. I'm not like inflamed sore. I'm still lean. I'm not like all like stressed out. But my day today, I was like, okay, I knew I was going to go and do that because I want to have my birthday. But I was like, okay, I literally had healthy fats and coffee. And then I hydrated and I did my vitamins. And then I left to go to the gym. I did the workout, came home, ripped the roof rack off my car because I'm switching over to from ski season to biking season, and came in, fired up 5 sticks of bacon and a 5-egg omelet.
There you go.
I haven't had anything else since. I've been talking to you now for over an hour before this podcast because we're talking about this project we're going to talk about on this show here. But I will eat more. Here's my thing. My fiance jokes around. She's like, you're a freaking garbage dump. I was like, no, I'm a healthy food dump.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't overeat on good shit. Like yesterday, same thing, eggs and bacon. Then when I started feeling hungry again, I had a leftover steak in the fridge. So I pulled out my cast iron skillet, quickly seared each side to kind of warm it up, sliced it up. Then I grabbed some cheddar cheese, chunked that up, went in, and our dog, the coonhound, Calvin the coonhound, absolutely loves me because I'm always eating meat and cheese. So as a dog, yes, we do throw him some human food once in a while, and he's right there. He's like, okay, when you're ready, I got you.
They always just show up. Yep.
And then last night we met with friends. I did have some red wine with dinner, but it was Cinco de Mayo, and I did not have the tacos. I had the meat.
Put that life into living.
Right. So, and people are like, oh, well, I thought you're Mr. NSNG. And I'm like, dude, I made a post on Instagram today, actually, with the eggs and bacon. I was like, I don't give a shit if it's NSNG, keto, paleo, getting your body into a state of ketosis using keto, using the primal blueprint or the primal diet, keto diet, paleo diet. I don't get, dude, all those words combined together equals my lifestyle. I'm not 100% in one area. I've taken what works for me. I know how my body responds. I know how it feels. And in the end, I've never counted a calorie in my life. And people are like, you must have great genetics. I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. You look at my family photo, everybody in my family is overweight. Everyone. Because they don't listen to me. This is why I have a podcast show. This is why I'm so nuts online, because people need to understand that, dude, genetics is only one tiny freaking component, man. It's your lifestyle.
Yeah, genetics factors into other areas, but the thing with this lifestyle is that how I feel is night and day. I was always tired. I mean, I would basically 4 days out of the week follow a diet that was pretty close to this, like, low carb, high fat. Yeah. But then, every 4 days you'd go, I want this. And then you go cheat, and then it'd be like, I'll start again tomorrow. And it's like, you're not making any difference, and you're always tired and you feel like shit. And
can we pause on that word cheat?
Sure.
What does that mean to you?
See, I use it because it's the word that everyone uses, but to me it means like right now what a cheat would be in a week from now, I'm going to Santa Cruz and California, and I'm going away for a weekend. I might have some wine, or I might in 2 months, if I'm like, I've been good for good. You know what I mean? Like if I've been following no sugar, no grain pretty much religiously, but I'm really like, okay, it's 3 months and I want some Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go and get it, and then I'll start right back up the next day. So a cheat just means I'm going to have I'm going to eat something really bad for a meal.
But what did a cheat mean to you 1 year ago and just 2 years ago? Can you give me an example?
Pretty much the same thing, but like twice a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how'd you feel?
Awful. All the time.
Let's define the awful side effect of a cheat.
Bodily wise, like it's constant stomach pain, constant brain fog, constant just lethargy, constant just, feeling things, phantom pains that you're feeling that aren't really there, but then they're compounding and you're feeling it and you're thinking that you might actually be sick, you might have something.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that all that stuff, for the most part, I mean, it's pretty much it's all diet. I'm 31. At my age, like I shouldn't be having any of that stuff. And since I've changed this diet, the thing that was crazy to me is that once I started really walking again, like doing 10,000 steps a day, no soreness,
mm-hmm.
no, like, because before, I know walking's not a big deal, but before when I'd walk, I hadn't for a while, legs would be hurting, my abs would be hurting, my back would be hurting, but it doesn't happen anymore. And it has to be the diet. It has to be what I'm eating. I keep calling it a diet, but it's really, it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Yes. Yeah. I've said this many, many times on my show, on Vinny's show, on other people's podcasts. I'm like, guys, I've spoken on stage. I've been getting more and more into public speaking. It's like, guys, like the diet has become a 4-letter word, a bad 4-letter word.
Yeah.
Because, I've studied psychology, and to me, so many people, they see or hear or just envision the word diet, and it immediately symbolizes a short-term transition. And I'm like, that's why I'm constantly moving people to the lifestyle. Now, granted, from a marketing standpoint, when I'm posting stuff on Instagram, I'm going to hashtag keto diet, paleo diet, primal diet, because they get used a lot. But in the end, what I'm trying to promote is a healthy lifestyle. That's why with this podcast, we discuss health, business, and lifestyle, 2 key components that then feed your business success. Because you just hinted, wow, I'm not as sore as I used to be. Ooh, my daily energy has spiked up. Okay, wait a minute. You're telling me that you got energy naturally? Interesting, right? Compared to 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's not from an outside. I mean, technically it's from an outside source because you're putting the high fat in your body, but your body ends up using it. And even when you're not eating, it's using good energy to get you through the day. And with what I do with filmmaking, I mean, I'm doing the project that we're going to talk about, and I'm doing another project, and just it's still a tiring profession, but it's way less tiring because you can recover at the end. You sleep and then you're fine. Mm-hmm. Before, it would be never a good night's rest.
Right.
Never. It's
and
crazy.
That's sad. And that, because see, I bring on scientists just like Vinny does, but I really get into discussions around gut biology, circadian rhythm, REM cycles, sleep cycles. I mean, I take it to the point where when I'm doing late night podcasts, like I have 3 different brands of blue blocker glasses. Okay. So I geek out on this stuff because, and people are like, oh, you're a biohacker. I'm like, well, I used to use that one more. I'm like, it's not about biohacking. Yes. Translated biohacking. You're hacking or modifying your biology. The big picture on all of this and what you've just helped us hear is that you started making changes because the stuff you were doing wasn't working. You make some changes and all of a sudden things are feeling better. And then now you're learning more about your body. And it's like, oh, if I put this in, it doesn't go well. But if I put this in, it does go well. So that's why people criticize my lifestyle. I'm like, dude, I don't criticize your lifestyle. I did not sit here and say, stop eating bread. I recommend it, but I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. And I was like, what you're going to find, which you just kind of hinted at, was when you start cleaning up the lifestyle, your body can start talking to you again. and you can start listening to it and paying attention, because
It'll
that's what
tell
it's
you when
always
you're
wanted to
hungry.
do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
You'll
most of
actually
us are
know.
numb. Weren't you numb before?
Yeah, well, it's that whole thing of like being resistant to the stuff that you're eating. So I would have carbs, like I said, every 3-4 days, and I'd never adapted to anything. So when I'd have all the carbs all the time, I wouldn't have the same reaction as I would when I went to a Mexican restaurant and had a margarita and was down for 3 days. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to feel like shit after I eat this stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's what my body telling me, don't eat that. I never had that before when I had fat. That's really the turn for me, is like, okay, well, maybe it's just because I haven't had it in a long time, and maybe if I didn't have fat for a long time and I had fat, it would do the same thing, but never.
No.
I've never had fat before and been like feeling bad for 3 days.
Well, I've used this many times on my past shows. I don't know if Vinny uses it this way, but you don't know that much about my brand and everything else we do. But I'm a former firefighter from out west, actually. Well, I'm from here, but I spent a couple years serving as one of the elite hotshot wildland firefighters with the federal government. So you guys know them very well in California.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was based in Arizona. Actually, I don't know if you know the new movie, but there's a new movie called Only the Brave that came out.
Yep.
So I knew them. I served in 2010 and 2011. That movie's timestamp and the fires that they talked about in that movie was 2011.
Wow.
So my base was an hour and a half from their base. So we served on a lot of fires together. So the point, though.
Well, thank you for that service.
Well, the biggest thing for me out of that, there's so many things. I brought it up so many times on this show. It's just, besides the life lessons and learning the power of first responders, it changed my life forever. And I'm trying to give back whenever I can. But that extreme level of fitness really cracked open this shell for me, listening to the body. Like at the end of a fire season, as a wildland firefighter, you're physically beat to live in shit. I mean, you need months just to recover. It's called accumulated exhaustion. It's the food that they fed us at these fire camps was awful. So your body takes a beating. And I was already a health nut before, but I really became much more amplified from 2010 on. And now years later, I wish I knew what I knew now back then.
Yeah.
But tying it back to fats and sugars, just for fun connection on fire. Think about a campfire. Okay. What kind of fuel do you need to get the fire going?
Gas,
kindling,
yeah.
or no gas. If you're hardcore, you got like some twigs, some dried out moss, whatever. And then as the fire builds, that will burn out, right? It's too fast. It's going to burn too quickly. You need something more substantial. You need like thicker diameter logs to retain the heat and build a legitimate fire.
Yeah. So
my whole connection on that is, well, fat is your logs and everything else is just freaking sugar. Mm-hmm. So it's like, as an athlete, that's why I ran my first marathon in 2008, and I hate running. And I didn't know any better. I was reading Men's Health back then. I was a classic, a magazine educated person. I was teaching spinning for 6 years as a fitness trainer. I thought I knew everything, right? And you realize you don't know shit, because I'm running in this event and you start tanking, because beforehand I did a goo, and then all the rest stops have goo packets and Cliff Bars. Like I was like, really? Like last year I did, because I'm a huge cyclist. You'll appreciate this. I did my metric century road biking event, which is like 63 miles. I do 100-mile bike rides. So that's why Vinny and I vibe so well. And I did it all on fat.
Yeah.
Okay. I did a Spartan race last year, all on fat.
I believe it. Just looking at you, you're like one of the most energetic people I've talked to in a long time. So
that could be Vinny's coffee too.
Yeah. Amped up on that coffee.
But yeah, it's like, dude, like, you're getting it. That's what I'm hearing from you. Like, you don't have to be in the gym as much as I am yet. I mean, again, Vinny backs up to you. Like, dude, I tell people, like, if you could fix the energy level, sooner or later, your body's going to start talking. He's like, yo, I have all this extra energy. I got to do something with it.
That's right? What's happening. I'm getting restless.
Yeah. And that's a good problem to have.
And I go out and I live in a nice, like, quiet area of Los Angeles, and I can go out at night and just walk around the neighborhood and it's great. It's relaxing. I listen to podcasts. I listen to music. And I find that after an hour of doing it, I'll usually go out for about an hour, like that I want to go more. I'm not tired or like, oh, I need to sit down or something. Like I could go a lot longer.
Because you have long burning energy in the tank.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the flash in the pan, right? It's not the striking of the match.
Yeah.
It's a long, consistent burn.
It's there. It's exactly. The tank. Yeah. Live the fuel. Yep.
Yeah.
We did it.
I mean, so all that energy, let's tie this back. All right. Let's get to our core. Obviously, this is important for our listeners to learn more about you. I love the fact that I've already successfully, created a movie. I'm going to share that again here, actually, because again, like I grew up, I mean, I'm 40, but I heard Chicago, man. Like my dad, all the music, like Chicago is one of the, maybe the millennials don't know what we're talking about, but Chicago is a well-known historical band. I mean,
number one band of the 1970s.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in 77. So, but hey, you pull that off. Okay. Clearly now, and by the way, real quick, here's the other documentary I was going to tell you about, the obesity postmortem.
Postmortem. Okay, dude, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, you need to check that shit out. Holy crap.
That's going to be disgusting though, isn't it?
Well, they literally show you slicing into a woman's body. I mean, it's very scientific. But let's close that. And let's talk about this. So for our video watchers and for our listeners, since you can't see what I'm talking about, I'm currently sharing Indiegogo.com. More specifically, Fat, a documentary. And you heard me mentioning Vinny Twitterich earlier in the show. He's been on this show multiple times. Again, Fitness Confidential is his podcast. Vinny's been doing this a long time. He's a professional fitness trainer from California. This is a quick little summary for the listeners. Okay, Peter Pardini's been on his show. I mean, a lot of people have gotten to know Vinny. Okay, I'll just say this. He's got a big Twitter following. He's got a very engaged NSNG community. He owns that trademark. He literally guest stars on Adam Carolla's podcast because he's like the health and fitness guy, and Adam loves having him on. And Adam has literally the most successful podcast show, I think, of all time.
Yeah, Guinness record.
So that all said, I love the Indiegogo campaigns. I love Kickstarter campaigns. I love crowdfunding and being a part of something. Mm-hmm. Which is why you and I are talking today, not just to help other people understand your healthy lifestyle transformation, but you're going to need a lot of energy, okay? Because I'm working with you now. Vinny needs to make this documentary happen because more people need to learn what you and I know, and you're going to need all the energy you could possibly get from all those healthy fats because we are going to get this. We're going to figure this out, man. This movie is going to launch, okay? So catch us up.
So we're doing a Indiegogo for we're calling it the last documentary about fat you'll ever need to see because we're trying to do something much more than just your average health documentary that you see on Netflix. Because I'm a filmmaker, I've made narrative films, I've made the documentary about Chicago, and I'm doing this not only because I'm passionate about my health and curious about why did I think this before, but because I think this could be a really fascinating movie, a film about the A to Z from the beginning of when all this bad health myths began, circulating, and not only that they did, but how did they do it?
Right.
So you're going to see in this movie, you're going to see a detailed account of almost like a case study of America specifically, but we'll talk about areas around the world too, but America, and how did we get to the food pyramid? How did we get to, you need 8 ounce glasses of water a day. You need this, you need that. Stuff that never, I'd heard over and over my entire life and never really knew where it came from or why I thought was supposed to think that. But, yeah, we are excited about doing a real movie that reaches people who aren't only Vinny Tortorich fans, but just anybody who would be surfing, Netflix and seeing something that looks interesting and informational without being like wonky or
Well, I think a lot of people don't understand, right? I mean, they just don't. There's been so much wrong information shared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm screen sharing again for our video feeds. I hit play, but I paused the actual intro video on the Indiegogo site because this was, oh God, I forget when. I don't know what year this was, but this was obviously when Oprah Winfrey was first making her, before she made her billions.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very influential woman. Okay. And she wheels out a radio flyer red wagon full of a plastic bag full of fat. Basically that I can tell right from fat. I know exactly what that is. That's beef fat from a slaughterhouse because I grew up in the farming world. Okay. I've been to slaughterhouses. I know how this all goes. Like my father and my younger brother are both cattle brokers. Okay. So I take a very kind of localized connection to all of this. And I didn't even know about that show. Right. And then boom, I fast forward and look at her now. Right. Like the earlier image I showed, she's like thin and she's criticizing fat. And you look at her now and she's not the thinnest woman out there.
Well, and it's showing, it also shows, it shows the irony of the struggle people do have, no matter how much money they have, to stay in shape. And I actually think that the radio flyer wagon full of fat is a good illustration of look how much is on you and look how much you can lose. But the wrong point is don't eat fat. It's
right.
just wrong. And that's not her fault at that point because that's what most people believed.
She was being influenced.
Yeah.
Right. Her experts were telling her one thing. Those same experts were influencing the government, right? You talked about the food pyramid. When I grew up, my father before every winter, like my first entrepreneurial thing, I was selling eggs on the side of the road. We had our own chicken coop.
Nice.
No lemonade there. and then when in the natural cycle of things, when chickens finish their natural laying cycle, they don't lay eggs anymore. Mm-hmm. So that chicken then becomes a butcher chicken. So we would butcher our chickens and then package them and freeze them for the winter. And then next year we go get new hens and they would lay all the eggs and then switch over. And this was an annual cycle. I had a 1/4 acre garden I had to take care of. Vegetables. My mom, before mason jars became like a trendy wine glass.
Yeah.
We canned everything. Everything. I had a basement full of mason jars, full of, pickled vegetables and meats and the meats were in the freezer. But you get where I'm going with all this. I ate a very whole food, meats and vegetables lifestyle. We weren't like crazy with cereal and fruit and stuff like that.
By happenstance, you were doing the right thing.
Well, but I didn't know that. And then, fast forward years later, my father, I don't hold anything back, man. People need to understand, like, dude, I struggle just like everybody else. My father is a type 2 diabetic. He never was. He's lost some weight with some influence from me, but he doesn't listen to me all the time. Like I said, my family is overweight and I don't hide that. I want to make sure people understand that. That's why I take this shit so seriously. Like it is so hard to help the people closest to you.
Yeah, I only laughed earlier too because it's a similar thing with friends and just people around you.
Well, I'm with you, man. I take no assault on that. I think people need to understand, like that's a natural reaction from you because I pictured you in your head. You're like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's why you and Vinny got together on this. I heard that podcast episode where you were explaining how much impactful the NSNG lifestyle is. This is bigger than NSNG. This is not just, Vinny's trademarked NSNG. Like that's not necessary.
What we're talking about at all.
No. Yeah. You're talking about Fat, a documentary for a reason. Mm-hmm. And that's what these people need to understand.
Yeah, it's about, we want to dispel health myths and let people draw their own conclusions. And we want to show exactly how things happened as a story. Like, that people will understand, because sometimes documentaries can get bogged down with showing you too many. They get bogged down with the style and showing numbers and terminology, and we're going to have that, but we're also going to do it in a way that people can understand and hopefully change a lot of people's lives and show them that it doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with eating a high-fat, low-carb diet, because there's nothing wrong with eating steak and broccoli for dinner. I don't know how you could ever argue that that's bad.
No, people, but hold on, Peter. I mean, I can't eat steak and broccoli forever. I mean,
yes, you can.
Well, yes, number one, but also it sounds so restrictive. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I tell people, like, follow my personal Instagram feed, not my business Instagram feed if you want. Like, I'm always posting steak and chicken and eggs and bacon.
And you know what a great meal is when you want to do a little bit of a fib on your the way you eat is just get some almond meal on your chicken. Yeah. Like a little bit of it, and it tastes pretty damn close to breaded chicken.
Oh, dude, I'm a freaking chips and cheese, or not chips, crackers and cheese guy. My fiance, I love crackers and cheese. And then like Anna Vocino's Eat Happy cookbook, dude. Like, oh my God, I can make almond flour crackers. Like, oh, this is fun. I mean, I've gotten back. I mean, I've already cooked most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
But getting the right stimulation to get yourself back into cooking for yourself again, it's not as expensive as people think. And
no, it's cheaper than going. We joke all the time here, my girlfriend and I, that we have saved money by doing this diet because
you have leftovers.
We have, not only do we have leftovers, but we're not eating out 3 times a week and spending $60 every time we eat out. We're spending $60 for 3 days of food.
Eating out should be a reward.
Yes.
Right? And it used to be that way.
It feels amazing eating out when you can do it, when it's like, even if it is like the cheat, like it feels so much better when you do it once every 2-3 months.
Well, it's like in your documentary that you guys are going to have. Like, I really hope some of these dipshit doctors that swayed everything the wrong way do answer the call to duty and come on and have a healthy debate with me. I hope
so.
Because
I genuinely want to hear it.
I want to hear it. I'm like, dude, especially what's his name? I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy influenced the government to get more sugars and grain into our lifestyle. And then you see him out at a restaurant and he's eating steak. I think he quoted him as saying, that's for the little people, or whatever his little statement was, right? And it's like, wait a minute, you're telling and influencing one thing and then you're doing the opposite. You're still eating healthy fats and steak because you can afford to. Like, that
sounds like politicians in general. I know he's not a politician, but
no, dude, he might have been a doctor, but he was straight up a political doctor.
Yeah,
he used the system.
I want to hear. I mean, and in a weird way, it's like when I made a documentary about a band. It's the same thing where you're trying to convince people to do your movie, and everyone has an agenda. Everyone wants to say a different thing, and you have to find a way to make that. You have to be able to tell people that they can be okay saying what they want to say. And so for all these doctors who they espouse the vegan diet or with grains or whatever I want them to feel like they can actually, what they say will end up in the documentary. I mean, I would never cut anybody's dialogue up or make them sound a certain way. The best thing
that's the point of a documentary is the best
documentaries have both sides as forceful as the other, and then the audience will be able to tell what they individually think. Mm-hmm. And we're confident that the high fat, low carb diet lifestyle is the way to go, but maybe they'll say some things and they'll sway some people. That's fine.
Something I love to teach is people are like, oh yeah, Scott doesn't eat carbs. Okay. I want this documentary to happen because I'm going to be like, okay, define a carb.
Mm-hmm.
I eat carbs. I had a double order of green beans last night. That's a vegetable source carb.
Mm-hmm.
I eat sweet potatoes. That's a carb. It's a different kind of carb.
You're going to shudder. When I was younger, I would go to Starbucks and get maybe 2 caramel frappuccinos a day. And I'm thinking about that now. That's well over 100 carbs.
Dude.
That's insane.
It's not even the carbs. I think what people have to understand here is that the carbs are then converted to sugar. This goes everything back to the sugar versus fat component.
Yeah.
It's like people are like, oh, well, you need carbs. Really? Yeah, okay. I consume carbs. Just it's a different source of carbs, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll back you up. I'll tell you what, when I was firefighting, because like as hotshots, like you have these crew carriers you ride around in, and we have all of our tools are in the vehicle. So like we're literally like a mobile transport unit. Like everything we have to have is on our vehicle. So that when we're deployed as a 20-man crew, like we are self-sustained. We have cases of MREs, worst thing you could ever put in your body, by the way. They're designed to survive a nuclear war with preservatives. So put that into your body, yay.
Great job.
But you got water on board, Gatorade. I don't recommend drinking it, but that's what we had, right? That was what provided us. We didn't like, oh God, you got to water up, you got to gator up, grab your MREs. It was very militaristic. But my point is that people don't understand what they don't understand, and that's the point of a documentary, right? Like I did not know. I had an inkling, and people are like, oh well, you're burning so many calories, and it's true. As a digger, building hand line, that's what you do. You build a fire break as a wildland firefighter. You don't put the fire out. You build a line around it and you contain it, and then you let it burn itself out. So as a digger, we estimated 5,000 to 7,000 calories per day of burn factor of the body. I like to clarify that because people don't know what the fuck a calorie is. I'm like, guys, a calorie is a unit of heat measurement. You talk to any scientist about that. It's not like, oh, that's why I don't count calories. I mean, the only time I counted calories, I'll correct myself, was then. And it wasn't really counting. I just kept shoving shit in my mouth because we were working 16 hours a day in the mountains. And then my second year, I became a sawyer. So I'm hiking with a 20-pound chainsaw and spare parts in my pack with all the other we always have 7 quarts of water. Dude, I had like 40 to 50 pounds on my back, 20-pound chainsaw, 16 hours a day in the woods. They said they estimated that we were burning probably close to 10,000 calories of heat per day. So we had to keep stoking the fire. It was crazy. So is that a normal lifestyle? No. Right? So military, firefighters, that's different world.
Well, they always point out too, well, Michael Phelps eats pizza. It's like, well, Michael Phelps is working out 7 hours a day.
He's burning that. His body is at such a high level of burn cycle. Yeah. It's incinerated. Like picture a fucking furnace, man. It's in and it's out. It's gone.
And people need to understand too, the difference between looking in shape and being in good health. Because Michael Phelps was 25 when he was doing that, 26. But
thank you for clarifying that.
If he was doing that when he was 60, there'd be problems, most likely.
Probably.
And just the more I hear about just people who their diabetes is getting better, people whose heart disease is going away, like stuff that's happening that doesn't happen when you're eating other ways. It doesn't go away.
Hey,
yeah,
you appreciate this. I mean, we got fellow respected influencers in the world that are getting then ripped up and down because they're trying to make a stand on what we and I are talking about. Yeah, Professor Tim Noakes, right? South Africa. FYI, he and I finally got to have an interview together. I'm airing him later this week, so awesome. That's huge. Yes. I've been trying to get him for a year and a half. But he's already, I mentioned to him your documentary. He didn't know about it yet. He and I just talked like 2 weeks ago. And I was like, did you hear from Vinny yet? And he's like, about what? And I was like, there's a project coming. You're going to want to, we need you on point.
Awesome.
So I already dropped that as a hint to him. I don't know if you guys reached out to him yet or not.
I think we're waiting to see if we have the means to do the movie first.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing.
He's on the list for sure.
But this is what I explained to Vinny. I said, and here you go, listeners are going to be able to geek out about this. If you guys follow Indiegogos, Kickstarters, it's about being a part of something bigger than ourselves, right? That's why I get so excited about this. Vinny doesn't have a lot of experience with this, whereas I've donated to countless Indiegogos, Kickstarters, because even my keychain was it's not in my room right now. My keychain was a Kickstarter project. The phone mount on my dashboard that I travel with so much, that was a Kickstarter project. So I've got crap all over the place because you're a part of something bigger. And that's why I told Vinny too, when we had a little consultation about this project. And that's why I was talking, you and I, our whole conversation today started on strategy, trying to figure out ways to make sure this campaign is a huge success, because that's what we need. People need the truth. People need a documentary that's not going to hold anything back. Let people from both sides of the fence come on and say what they want to say. And let's get the truth out there. Yeah.
Says it clearly and almost doesn't kind of pussyfoot around it. A lot of documentaries, you can't quite tell what they're saying because they don't want.
Oh yeah, it's all fluff. It's fluff. Yeah, it's all surface level.
Yeah, they don't want to have an opinion on it, even though that's the whole point of doing this documentary is to tell people what you think.
Yeah.
And on the same hand, though, it's not my job as a director is to put it in an editor is to put it into context that people can understand. It's not my opinion.
Right.
It's the people. It's to get everybody who's in the film to make sure everyone who's watching it understands what that person means when they say it.
Because then that way.
Yeah, because otherwise you have documentaries that are cut weird or they're kind of strangely edited to the point where you can tell they're trying to craft a story, but we have something so powerful here that we don't have to craft anything. You just have to tell it.
You mean like that piece of shit movie called What the Health?
Yeah, I mean...
They marketed that as a documentary, and I'm like...
It's a good example of a movie that's well-made, but not...
Yeah. Well, because they had the funding.
Yeah.
All right, that's the call to action for our listeners and watchers of this episode.
Yeah.
All right, if we're going to fund... I didn't fund it. If people of the vegan and vegetarian front are going to fund a movie that's completely swayed one way and was full of so much bullshit, we need to do the same. Only bring the truth. Okay? Bring the freaking truth.
I had 20 cigarettes for breakfast this morning.
Oh, yeah. An egg, I'm like, what? I was like, an egg is a cigarette? No. I mean, there's so much bullshit. Like, guys, it's just...
Well, that's what I want to get to the bottom of. Is I don't even think that movie got to the bottom of it. Is I want to talk to those people and look them in the face and say, explain it to me. Explain it to me as somebody who I might not agree with you, but I want to be convinced, and I want you to convince me.
I don't care if the movie turns out to be a 4-hour-long documentary. I'll fucking watch it because I want the truth. People need the truth. Yes. And that's the problem, is that everybody's pussy, like you said, pussyfooting around.
Yeah. It's coming. I feel it in the air now with just...
Because everything we've been doing isn't working, right? What? Nothing's working. No. I mean, people like Gary Fettke down in Tasmania, right? Mm-hmm. He got silenced by the government, just like they tried to do in South Africa for Tim Noakes. Like, poor Gary Fettke had to have his wife take over his social media feeds because he's not allowed to talk about this shit because the guy got so passionate about it. He got so tired of cutting off diabetics' feet. Like, he's like, dude, I don't want to do this anymore. He's like, I need to fix this. We got to do something healthy about this. Okay. You got people like, I've had him on the show twice. I think he's been on, I recommended him to Vinny a while ago, Dr. Jack Wolfson. He's known as the paleocardiologist. That's the name of his book. He left the heart surgeon, heart doctor profession. He was part of a very, very successful heart practice in Arizona because all they were doing was pushing statins and everything else. And it's like, so he met his wife, who's more naturopathic, chiropractor, and they created a brand called Doctors Wolfson. So you got health nut wife helping influence a medically trained doctor, her husband, to realize, wait a minute, it ain't working.
Yeah.
Right? It's not working, people. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same bullshit the wrong way over and over and expecting a different result? It's like...
It's not working, but there is a thing about humans where we do like to be led. We like for people in higher positions to tell us everything's okay. This is what you can do to help, and people will believe it, and they'll think something's wrong with them if it's not working. Right. I must not be doing it right. But all I know is that I could not lose weight. I was gaining it. I was 170 pounds in 2014, and I got up to 237, 238.
And how tall are you?
I'm 5'11".
Wow.
So it was a big weight gain, and
a lot was around your midsection, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, midsection. And I always look in pictures. I don't ever look different. Like really, there's a little bit around my neck, but you could tell in the wide shots. It was like, wow.
Again, like if you haven't read her book yet, Dr. Sylvia Tara, The Secret Life of Fat. She's been on Vinny's show. She's been on my show. Yeah. I'd like to see her come on this documentary too, because she also had that frustration. She spent years with weight gain, weight loss, and she's of Indian descent. And that's part of our culture. Like, they eat a lot of rice and a lot of those simple carbohydrates and stuff. So it's like, wait a minute, it ain't working, right? And
I heard her on the Dr. Drew podcast too.
Yeah. I mean, dude, she became obsessed and studied everything about the fat cell. And I already knew about it before her. Like visceral fat is the fat that collects around your organs. That's the stuff that you don't see on the surface. That's why, like, I go to lifting competitions and I see power lifters, and they got this like bulbous, like, fit. You know, they're hard as a rock. If you punch them, it's hard. But like I call it the trucker belly, right? You got this big bulge, so you look like you're strong as an ox. But you got this big bulge of a belly, and I'm like, guys, that's not muscle. That's your shitty diet. Like you're people think that you're fit. You're not fit. On the outside, you look fit and strong.
It looks a little strange, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't look right.
That's fit. Okay, I'm hard as a rock, but I don't have a trucker belly. And it's not about me. I'm trying to set an example. You know, it's like, guys, like, you need the truth.
Is we want to show what I want to do, and what Vinny wants to do is, we don't want to throw anybody under the bus. We don't want to say we're right. We don't want to say, we feel so strongly about it that we know that just showing the facts of what happened and what is happening, people will be able to draw their own conclusions, and it'll most likely, you know.
Hey, part of a successful documentary is you're going to have lovers and haters, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's going to be haters.
let the haters come. Because that's just, from a marketing standpoint, that's actually almost even more powerful. I want people tweeting and maybe turning down this documentary before it even takes off, because it's just going to increase more awareness, and it's going to bring the right target audience, people like myself, people like you, people who have struggled for years trying to follow the government mandated crap that's wrong. Mm-hmm. And those are going to be the ones that are going to back this. Those are the ones that are going to take action.
A little bit. It is called government mandated, but it is not a mandatory diet.
Oh, good point. Thank you.
This is what they say that is the My Plate.
It's the recommended. The recommended, yes, not mandated.
But they do. No, it is. No, I think you're using the right term that they say. It's like, this is what we say is the right thing, but it's not. It's not mandatory. You can choose to do what you want to do, at least at this point, and just, people need to wake up in more ways than just food. I feel like it's happening everywhere. It's like, people need to wake up out of whatever we're going through right now, where we're not, everything's kind of like, just not, there's just kind of this like fog of unreality.
I'm just excited by this because I'm just going to go ahead and use the words, when this happens, you guys launch a successful fat documentary. We get people from both sides of the fence. We get them to say the truth. You record the truth. You share the truth. You hold nothing back. It's finally a properly done documentary. And I already told Vinny, I'm like, we blow it up. And then it's so important that we get it on Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. So we can get the Netflix brand of exposure. Then we move on to the next chapter. We keep sharing that. Then it's like, okay, maybe we end up creating a sugar-specific documentary, right? There's already a bunch of them out there. Let's get the sugar one out there. Let's get the protein one out there. Whatever.
Even if they're 15, 20 minutes.
Right. It's just get the truth.
That's all that matters. And I think I know we're gonna do it. I know that people are gonna rally around it, because I want people to know, like, this is, you know, there's a lot of stuff with Indiegogo campaigns and campaigns where you see, you donate the money, and there's some that I've donated to, and the project doesn't come out for 3 or 4 years. We want this movie to be done by the end of this year. I mean, there's no guarantees with anything if there's like a holdup with licensing or whatever. But
the point is, you guys aren't going at this slow. Like you're ready to hit the ground running. We just need the money to get it off the ground. And like your campaign, I'm going to go ahead and clarify it on here. Like, you guys are only asking for $150,000 to meet your goal. But let's be real, a proper documentary, you probably want to go double that. So, you know, when we air this, I want people to take action and help make sure we exceed that, because that's going to make it a better documentary. It's going to help with the momentum that you guys need to get this out to the forefront faster.
Yeah, $150,000 is pull the trigger. $300,000, it's a real movie. Like, it's going to be a movie before, but there's so much more you can do when you have a little bit more leeway to clean things up, do a better sound mix, do a better color correction, and it really all makes a difference. And I just feel so strongly about it, and people are going to get a really great documentary about this, and we're going to have the same cinematographer that worked on the Chicago documentary. So it's going to have it's going to look like a film. It's not It's not going to be a Lifetime, not Lifetime, but Discovery Channel documentary that you're used to seeing, that 55 minutes long, that just kind of gives you the basics. We're gonna go in on this. And it's gonna be great.
And again, for our video watchers, when this airs, like I'm screen sharing it right now, this is only a soft opening. You guys, I'm time stamping this. Crazy. This is being recorded on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, 2018. We haven't even fully pushed a huge exposure of Indiegogo yet. Vinny and I will be doing a Facebook Live tomorrow. Then he's going on Adam Carolla. You guys are already at $6,300 raised, 88 backers. I think the most important thing to understand is like it's going to be way higher than that when this show even airs. Okay, I'm talking about so. But the point is, like, guys, go on Indiegogo, search for Fat, a documentary. I'm going to have this linked in the show notes. I'm going to have everything in there. You can follow it easily, but it's not hard. Just go to Indiegogo.com and you search for Fat, a documentary, and it'll come up as well. But the point is, it's like
perks too.
Oh yeah, you guys are again. Peter and I were already talking strategy about some other perks maybe to add in, but there's plenty of good perks on here, and it's for everybody from different walks of life. You know, it's only, I think the entry point, let me scroll down here, is something as simple as $5, right? Just getting yourself on the board as a contributor. Every little bit helps. You need to be a wealthy person to submit a support for this. That's the power of crowdfunding.
Absolutely not. Donate $5 and share it with 100 people. And that's, powerful, because you're helping us spread the word by just even visiting the page and sharing it. So anything you can give it all adds up, because there's 88 backers right now for over $6,000. So if we can get to the thousands level of backers, we're in business.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I know.
Well, listen, we definitely want to bring this to a close, because I still got to go work on the back end stuff to get everything ready for Vinny's webinar tomorrow. But with everything you've done with Chicago, now what we're trying to do with Fat and with Vinny, all my co-hosts, my guest co-hosts, they close the show out with some final words. And it's interesting because, like, you're a guy who's already started changing his life with going with a healthier lifestyle, has had an amazing impact already in the Netflix space, right, with a Chicago documentary. Now you're trying to make a difference from a healthy space with Vinny and a Fat documentary. Is there, right now for you, and if our listeners forget everything else we talk about, don't forget about the Indiegogo campaign, but is there anything kind of all-encompassing right now in your life that there's like a message that you want to leave behind for our listeners? Just something, I don't know, inspirational, or just something that's like, you know what, yeah, this is why we're doing all this.
For me personally, just success in anything has come from action, and it's come from actually doing it. So whether that's diet and you're just like thinking about, I'll start tomorrow, that's fine, but actually start tomorrow. And for me with movies, I've seen that a lot of people, or just at least around my age, who are trying to do it are not, I wouldn't even say they're not doing as well, but they're not doing anything really, because they never start. And I read Steve Martin's book a long time ago, and he talks about this in like kind of another way about, he was never felt that he was that funny, but he worked the hardest to remember how to be funny. And that is how you do it. That's how you are successful in anything, or you achieve any success, is that you have to literally put one foot in front of the other sometimes, especially when things look like they're not happening, or when something bad happens. You're casting a movie and an actor who said they were going to do it then suddenly isn't answering you. Well, you can wait for him to answer you, or you just go get another actor who's maybe going to be even better because you made the decision to move forward. So that's what I leave. I
love that. Well, listen, hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye. I like it. You nailed it, man. Hold on. I'll give you a proper goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Peter Curtis Pardini. You can find him on Facebook, actually. He's got an actual page. Follow him as a director, Peter Curtis Pardini, writer and director. Again, the whole point of this mission, besides him sharing his story with you today, is that we are trying to get that message out there. Fat, a documentary on Indiegogo. Search for it, or go on the website for LiveTheFuel.com for this episode, and you'll see everything. I'll have a link on it when we air it. But again, thanks for listening in. As Peter so wisely shared with you, take action tomorrow. Put one foot in front of the other. It takes work, but you have to start, okay? And then get that momentum and keep moving. So again, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening in to another Live the Fuel podcast show. Again, Peter Pardini, the Indiegogo project, Fat, a documentary with Vinny Tortorich. Make sure you take action and support it today. Let's help make a healthy difference in this country, the US of A, as well as the world, with something as powerful as fat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. And remember, you too can live the fuel. We'll talk to you guys again soon. And you're free of the pod. I just leave the video on for extra fun. So
that was fun.
Spontaneity.
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Well, we already linked up. So I was like, I'll just go ahead and hit record. So
let's just do it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I haven't heard anything back from Vinny yet, so I still need to confirm his start time. Hopefully he gets back to me so I can air this thing tonight.
Just know he is going on Drew's podcast in like very soon.
So that's probably why he's distracted. So that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you said you're following up with him today anyway. So
yeah, I'll call him later. I'll call him like at 5:00 my time, and then I'll text you if I hear something. And
tell him if you talk to say Scott says, hey, give him a call if he wants to call me later. If he has anything to confirm before tomorrow, because I don't know if he's done a lot of Zooming. I know he's done some Zoom stuff with Andy, but
I'm going there noon your time tomorrow. So
okay. So I think he wanted to go earlier. I think he wanted to go like 10 or 11 my time, which would be 7 or 8 your time.
That makes sense.
Let's just make sure that we want that.
Perfect. All right, man.
Hey, this has been great. I'm glad we were able to connect. I hope you have a lot of strategy taken away from today.
I do.
To help with the project.
I do. I totally do. And thank you so much. And let's keep doing this so that we can make it.
I told Vinny, I'm happy to keep this going weekly. If that's the whole point of the teamwork piece, hey, what's going on? Where are we at? Where's a snapshot of the campaign? Strategic timing of new offers that go out there, et cetera. So
yep. Let's do it, man. All right.
All right, brother.
Talk to you later.
Enjoy the day.
You too. See ya.
Take it.